Minion Management Show. How Gru can teach you to be a better manager.
Our target audience is middle to upper level management within an organization. Because our concepts are scalable, we have the capability of relating to various size companies, ranging from simple to complex management structures. The concepts covered are typically those that should be discussed during refresher trainings, when companies are attempting to strengthen a structure that is currently in place. We recommend using these guides as part of an annual training program. Our concepts may also be beneficial for a more inquisitive manager who is interested in discovering what types of challenges he or she may face. Our character development and storyline techniques provide an entertaining training style that is engaging for many levels of supervision.
Character significance. All of the characters in this story play a significant part in the management process. Gru is the owner and manager of Gru Incorporations, so his duties are significant to making sure the company runs smoothly and accurately. The three girls, Margot, Edith, and Agnes, that he adopts are significant because they display a typical family with personal life distractions. With each distraction that happens, they all play a significant role in softening up Gru along the way. Dr. Nefario's significance lies heavily in the research category for the company. He is in charge of designing and building the majority of Gru's machines, so he is a key part of the company. Kevin, Bob, and Stuart are all minions that each have personal management duties that are significant to different parts of the business. Kevin is the director of Gru Incorporations, while Bob is in charge of the financial and administrative activities, and Stuart is the manager of operations and housekeeping. Each minion has a different duty, but they all work alongside one another. Lastly, Lucy is an example of management collaboration. She teaches Gru how to respect the opinions of others and to think in the best interests of his business. Each character has a specific role in making the company run effectively on a management basis.
The secondary characters include Silas, Eduardo, also known as El Macho, and other minions. These characters are significant to making an understanding to the remainder of the show. Felonious Gru is the manager of Gru Incorporations. He is a supervillain. He is over the company designed to perform nothing but evil. Gru's personality is angry, evil, and somewhat lonely. He has never had any real friends or a girlfriend, and he lacks collaboration skills. He's easily distracted and is only good about planning his crimes and giving orders. Even though Gru is evil to the world and all of its occupants, he is very fair to his employees. Episode 1. A Bad Day. In the first episode, Gru is faced with hard management dilemmas. His company is not making any money, and his management team are trying to adapt to a new system of things. They are previously in the villain industry and are used to making incentives from large projects that attract the attention of the public. Since Gru has adopted the girls and started a family, he has become more kind and less evil. Ultimately, it results in staff members leaving. Gru is then not only faced with failing businesses, but no lab leadership from Dr. Nefario. This episode emphasizes real management dilemmas and the initiation of the 8 steps to decision making for management. Gru has a basic organization chart and structure for his company. He is the CEO, so he runs the company. He has Kevin as his director or private assistant for project management. Dr. Nefario is over research. Stuart is over operations. And Bob is over financials. Episode 2. New Lines of Business. The second episode, Gru has got with the management team and decided on the line of jellies and jams as new production for the company to bring in revenue. However, the minions have been unsuccessful with making the taste of the jellies and jams taste good. Meanwhile, Lucy, a anti-villain league agent, is sent to bring Gru for a personal proposal. Initially, Gru denies the proposal, refusing to work with the anti-villain league. After returning home later and taking into consideration his company's current situation, Gru decides that it would be best to take the offer. This episode evaluates the 8 steps of decision making for Gru as owner. This episode also brings key points for managers when dealing with multiple personalities in a dilemma to reach an agreement. Amongst Gru's team is Kevin, Bob, and Stuart, and they each specialize in their own areas. However, they use critical thinking and concepts from the 8-step decision-making model to determine what is the best interest of the entire company. Among all other issues that Gru is currently facing, Dr. Nefario has decided to resign and leave because he does not feel that Gru has exercised any bit of evil since he has adopted the girls. This is an example of a management dilemma. A resigning employee without any notice. Management Expansion, Episode 3. Gru gets a plan developed by Kevin, approved by Bob, using the integration process that they always use when creating projects and setting up standards. In this scenario, they will be opening a cupcake shop. Gru is still very unsatisfied with the fact that he has been placed with Lucy. While learning to manage with Lucy, Gru is faced with other problems, such as separating his personal life from work. This episode emphasizes how Gru has a management system set up. He uses a form of integration which separates powers amongst sub-management divisions. Gru has been using this method since day one, so the managers, Kevin, Bob, and Stuart, are very familiar with how the process works. Episode 4, The Collaboration. Gru is trying to make Lucy understand his ways of handling the case. They have their first lead, which is Eduardo, and they have to do as much research as possible. While Gru is interested in just searching his restaurant without care, Lucy is more concerned with searching him from a distance without fumbling until they know for sure that he is the guy. They argue and bigger at this point, where they almost blow their cover. Gru is very frustrated with the least amount of success that they have had. This episode elaborates on how Gru has to be shaped as a manager. He has had to learn to be more open to new ideas, suggestions, and change. Because Lucy is his partner, Gru does not feel obligated to listen to her. Gru has to determine ways to focus more on work while at work and less on his personal life if he plans to be successful. Gru is experiencing a lot of internal dilemmas in this episode. In this episode, Lucy is suggesting that her and Gru use the SWOT method of management to determine how they should go about the project. This would be a plan of action for Operation Undercover Cupcake Shop. It would determine the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that they have. Once Gru and Lucy have sat down and got a full understanding of the SWOT analysis concept, they determine the following. Their strengths. Gru is a formal supervillain, so of course he has all of the knowledge that they will need to know when identifying potential suspects. Lucy has management skills and concepts, so she will bring to the table a lot of management and planning for their project. They determine their weaknesses. Gru lacks collaboration skills. and Lucy doesn't have any supervillain experience. They will have to work together to make sure it's easy as possible for Gru to work with Lucy under the least amount of stress, using management concepts and principles, while Lucy may not always have the answers because she is not a formal supervillain and she may not always recognize the signs. They then determine what opportunities they have. Well, being that Gru has already recognized Eduardo, the former supervillain El Macho, he would be the first person for them to investigate, which is the perfect opportunity to lead for their project. What threats do they face? Well, Eduardo may recognize Gru if they decide to pursue him. And Lucy and Gru can't really seem to get along well under pressure. They have to come up with ways to make sure that if they are threatened by another supervillain, that they are able to fight and collaborate together as a team to get the project done. Episode 5, Code Purple. After finding a bit of the serum in the wig owner's shop of Eagle Hair Club, the Anti-Villain League requests that the case is closed. Gru shows up for normal duty at work at the cupcake shop when the Anti-Villain League tells him that they have completed the investigation. Silas thanks Gru for doing absolutely nothing to help the entire investigation. In this episode, he does later find out that his intentions were correct and that Eduardo really is El Macho, and that the minions that have been missing are in fact an experiment for El Macho and his former employee, Dr. Nefario. Also, El Macho has captured Lucy. In this episode, Gru could have felt okay with the outcome, being that he had been already paid and his company had made profits to continue their own projects. But Gru felt as though he had not fully accomplished his duty as a manager on this project. He experiences managerial ethics, something that Lucy had enforced on him for weeks while they worked together. So he intends to take down El Macho with the efforts to keep a permanent contract with the Anti-Villain League. He also reminisces about many of the points that Lucy tried to give him to make him an effective manager for his team. Being that his minions are not in the right state of mind makes Gru very upset. In doing so, Gru develops a plan of his own this time. With just a few minutes and minions to help, Gru develops a plan to take down El Macho and save Lucy. Episode 6, The Takedown. Once Gru has gotten into El Macho's place and is surrounded by purple minions, Dr. Nefario shows up with the antidote he has created for the serum. He helps Gru take down El Macho and reminds Gru that business is always business, but no one messes with his family. In this episode, Gru proves that he has learned a substantial amount of management traits from this experience. From decision-making and time management to managerial ethics, he understands boundaries, violations, and establishments. In the end of this episode, Gru shows application of management concepts. to always use your weapon before announcing it. Gru shows that he has made changes in his heart to respect the opinion of others. Episode 7, Management Application. With this new organization structure, the chart goes with Gru at the top and a new minion employee, Phil, at the bottom. Lucy is under Gru but over Kevin. Kevin is over Dr. Nefario, Bob, and Stuart, as he always has been. And then under Stuart now are 2 other management subdivisions that are ran by Jerry and Phil, 2 new minions that have been promoted out of the minion family to help Gru run special portions of the company. Each of the members of the management organization have titles, and their titles are essential to what they are doing for the company with the new expansion project. Gru will remain in his same position as Chief Executive Officer of the company. He is the CEO and he runs everything in the industry. Lucy is now been added to a new position of upper level management that was not there before. She is the president and works side by side with Gru to complete tasks and common goals for the company. Kevin, who was formerly the director, has been promoted to the vice president position, where he works directly under Lucy and Gru to assist further in higher level management problems. Bob was once before the financial director and now has been promoted to chief financial officer, and he runs the accounting and finance subdivisions, and he is also responsible for making sure that all of the other operations are in compliance. Dr. Nefario is still the research director and doctor, and he is under Bob but over Stuart. Stuart resides in his same position as the operations director, where he will oversee all of the operations. Beforehand, Stuart was responsible for also housekeeping and some human resources duties. Now that has been split amongst 2 minions that have been promoted. Jerry is now the minion that is the human resources director, and he has subdivisions that make sure that the company is running efficiently and correctly. He monitors paid time off, and he monitors employees' tasks to make sure that everyone is treated fairly within the organization. Phil is also a minion that has been promoted out of the minion family. He is now the director of home housekeeping, and he makes sure that everything at the home does not interfere with company issues. So Phil will be responsible for seeing to the girls. His division assists the girls with the day-to-day issues, from homework to assignments to getting to and from school, and that they only need to reach out to Gru unless it's a very serious matter. In conclusion of the show, Gru has learned a lot. He has changed his organization tremendously. He has developed a new line of business beyond the jellies and jams that will provide him with enough income to maximize profits for his company. Gru has reflected on many of the concepts that Lucy has expressed. Gru is a better manager today than he was prior to the beginning of the show. And as a review of all the concepts discussed in this show, Gru was able to implement each to make sure that his company ran and runs smoothly. From organization structure to the differentiation model to the integration structure to the emotional management maturity, contingency plan and entry barriers, the 8-step process to decision making, the SWOT model analysis, and understanding managerial ethics and producing an employee handbook for his company. Gru is the perfect example of how to be a better manager.